So, first we want to know that bitterness is your sin and your sin only. Oh, I started to say 10 years after, or thinking about, we moved to Annapolis and, there's something else that happened then. Oh, after we got in Michigan, we had a house with a very big bedroom where you had a double bed and a chase lounge and a desk and all kinds of space. And Bessie and I could go up there and the kids could be left to the box and we'd be, Bessie could read in bed and I'd be working at the desk and just a nice, tranquil home. Except whatever I was doing at the desk wasn't doing any better than the storm windows was working. And I was getting steamed at this desk. My dear sweet wife said something to me, and I turned around and let her have it. Well, she's in bed. She looked at me in amazement and got up and left the room. And again I said, she shouldn't have said it. Well, I knew it was my sin and my sin only. Amy Carmichael, in a little booklet called If, has a little sub thing at the bottom. It says a cup, bring it brimming full of sweet water, will not spill one drop of bitter water, regardless how hard it's jolted. That might not be a direct quotation. If you're filled with honey, you don't spill vinegar. It doesn't turn sweet water into bitter water when you get jolted. All the jolt does is bring out what's on the inside. And when my Bessie said this to me when I was at the storm windows, she just kicked the cup. And what was on the inside, the cup came out. In bed, she just jolted the cup. And what was on my inside came out. Well, I knew, again, I had to confess my sin. I got up from the desk, went over on my side of the bed, got on my knees, and confessed, God, it was my sin and my sin only. Got up off my knees and said, but look what she said. I got back on my knees and said, sorry, God, that slipped out. Got back on my knees and said, God, I'm the only one at fault and I'm confessing my sin. Got up off my knees and said, but you and I know who's really at fault. Back on my knees. Well, I probably stayed on my knees 40 minutes before I could get up and say, and not say something accusative about my wife. Listen, you stay with it until the bitterness is gone. Tomorrow morning we're going to talk about having continual joy. So I'm not telling you much. I really want you to define it, that you've got it. It's extremely evil. It's of the devil. And what makes it much worse is you think you're innocent. And you will not get back into the joy of the Lord, even if the other person confesses. You won't do it until you confess your sin. Well, we'll go into detail tomorrow morning on confession of sin, and I'm going to mention this one, how to maintain joy in your life. That will be what the talk will be about. That's in the free table. There are 3 other booklets for sale that helped me back before we were married. One is called The Calvary Road, and I read that in, I think, March of '51, and Cleaned House. Another one called Continuous Revival. These are booklets, small booklets. And I think I read that in '56. Same truth about confession of sin. But the second one had a sense of immediacy. No process. God's grace is instantly available. It forgives bitterness, but you have to know you're bitter. And now, the other person may be guilty. The other person may be guilty, but whether she stays guilty or he stays guilty or gets rid of it doesn't change you. The only way you can be free from, I mentioned earlier, compassion and bitterness don't go together. And the scripture says, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. It's impossible for a bitter person to rejoice in the Lord always, or at all. So before we get into the positive aspects of Christian life, you got to get rid of the negative ones, and you got to recognize what they are. Just a little postscript on, I always thought it was something else that somebody did. But in recent years, I found something else that was a temptation for me to be bitter. Not a cause, but a temptation. And it's taken care of by the fruit of the Spirit. For the fruit of the Spirit is patience. Impatience precedes bitterness. Impatience precedes bitterness. And all kinds of things can make you impatient. It may not be other people at all. But when you're impatient, not very long until you're bitter. So you have to take care of that one too. And there'd be many other things, but I wanted to throw in that impatience. And largely because I get impatient. And I recognize it. I think we'll call it, unless I want to hear some repetition.